Hello, I'm Derek Temple, and this is my third self-review for mobile development. This is week 4, so we're wrapping up the project, and I want to go over just a bit of the structure of my project first, because I use CodeIgniter for my framework, and I've noticed that quite a few of the people in the class have not used CodeIgniter very much, so I just wanted to show how to find stuff in case the people doing my review get lost. You'll notice that there's an application folder, an assets folder, and a system folder. The system folder is all of CodeIgniter's settings, and so I didn't do anything with this folder. You don't touch anything that's in that folder. Everything that you do for backend code is going to be in the application folder, and anything you do that's media or script files or style sheets will all be in the assets folder. You see I have audio. This is my temporary audio file until I can manage to get the streaming API set up. This is my scripts folder. I have my bootstrap, and then of course my own JavaScript file. And then in styles, I also have bootstrap responsive and bootstrap, both the minified, and then I have my own style sheet. And I also have an images folder that has all of the images I use for the website. So that's my assets. Under application, one of the big things is when you set up the database. I have a SQL file attached to my project. You'll need to use that to create the database and all of the tables in it. But then when you want to go in and set up my project to work, you'll have to go into database, and you see here that we have all these different database variables, and one of them is the host name, so that stays as localhost if you're just running it on MAMP or whatever, and then you just change your username and password to match whatever your username and password is for your MySQL databases. And then the database name when you create the database needs to be TBSB. And so that's how you set up the database. I think that's all you'll need from the config. The rest of it runs all based on the controllers, models, and views. So this is the controller main that actually runs the website. This is my main controller, the default controller. So what CodeIgniter does is it just uses the index to route all files. So every time there's a page request, it routes it through the index, and then it gets sent to your default controller unless you specify a different controller. So I have this, and then my playlist controller is not complete yet, but it's going to manage all of my playlists. You can find my login validation and registration validation. Both of those class files are in models. And then third party is where I keep my API stuff. So I have a TinySong class file for the TinySong API. And then everything else will be in views. Now, under templates, we have a header, a footer, logo, registration and login, search form for when you're searching for music, and then audio player, which is my audio file. This shows how it connects the audio files, and basically that's repeated multiple times within the results page. So under pages, we have the three main pages: the home page, which is just shows the search form and the registration and login. Then there's the success page, which is the same as the home page. And then the results page. The results page still has this search form included, which is under templates, but it also has this player container, and that is what holds all of the audio players. And we just, for every search result that's returned from the API, we're going to include that data within the audio player. So it'll have multiple audio players, and I set it to max out at 5. So you can have up to 5 search results show up in their own audio players. I'll show you that now. So that's how the code is structured. So now we're going to go over to the iPhone, and we're just going to go to mobile.tbsb.com. I've set up a localhost site there, and this is my home page. If you click on the logo, you go back to it takes you to home. Register and login will pop up those forms, and then of course there's search. So if we make a search for a band or a song or album, it's going to take us to the results page. And one thing you'll see is that after you scroll down past the search form, you end up with the results. I wanted to include pagination, but I did not have a chance to set that up. So right now it's just scrolling. As you can see, it just shows one after the other, and they're inside these top and bottom borders. There's a play button, and there's a add to playlist button, and then it tells you the track, artist, and album. When you click add to playlist and you're not logged in, you're going to get a dialog message pop up that says only members can create and save playlists. If you'd like to make a playlist, please log in and register. You can either hit the close button to close that, or you can actually just hit the add to playlist button again and it'll close it. And I've still not been able to figure out why the play button does not work. See, there it actually worked and played, but the button image is missing. For some reason it's not linking properly. But it works sometimes to actually play. However, it also popped up all of my dialogues, and it didn't pop them up how they're supposed to be. So I've got quite a few bugs on the results page still, but a lot of that comes from not having the streaming API hooked up, so I'm not sure how it's going to work. So it's hard to figure out how to fix something without messing something else up. But the results page now works to that extent. Also, if you are logged in, it won't show the dialog pop up when you hit add to playlist. Instead, it's going to do nothing right now. I'm still working on trying to set up the connections to the database. I have the database tables, but I haven't set up a connection to actually save your song information in the database. And part of the problem is I do not have the streaming API yet. So the streaming API from GrooveShark gives you the ability to actually stream directly from the website, and I'm not sure exactly how that works yet because I haven't really been able to work with it without the API key. However, as it stands, I can still pull the data. I can pull the track, artist, and album, and then I can also pull the URL, basically a link directly to that track on GrooveShark's site. And if I do that, then I can actually use that URL to redirect people to Grooveshark. But the whole point of this was so that you can actually stream the music directly from TV Sound Blaster. So, I'm working on that. Until then, the Add to Playlist button doesn't really do anything if you're logged in. It just sits there. But hopefully eventually I'll get to the point where I can set the streaming API up. And in the meantime, that's really all I've got for now. Thanks for viewing my website and checking my code out. Let me know if you have any feedback. And that's all.